well, we can hope. We can all hope. Listen, it's time for our Redskins report to try to get to the bottom of what's going to happen with the Redskins. Trevor Matich is on the line. Trevor, good to have you with us. Okay, so I think it came out yesterday that unless there is some reversal in the way that Colt McCoy looks, they seem to think he's ready to start, and Jay Gruden says it's his intention to start Colt McCoy. Is that the right decision?
Well, it's the right decision based on what you think of Robert Griffin III. If the coach believes that he already has enough information to know either that RG3 is definitely the quarterback of the future and he's just trying to figure out who's going to be the backup, or if he thinks he has enough information to certainly know that RG3 is not a guy he wants anywhere near the roster, then yep, it's good to start McCoy. But if there's any doubt in the coach's mind whatsoever as to whether or not RG3 should or should not be here, then this is not the right move. They should use the neck injury as an excuse to start RG3, and this tells you an awful lot about where the coach stands with the quarterback.
As I read some of his other comments, the way I read that is he says, I think I have enough information on Robert to make a decision about the future.
Yep.
What do you read into that?
Well, you combine that with the fact that he's waiting until the last instant, or has waited, to see how Colt McCoy's neck is progressing to decide whether or not to start Robert, rather than using McCoy's neck as an excuse to start Robert. That tells me that he doesn't want Robert around.
Wow.
And listen, matching up against the New York Giants, I don't care what the standings say. When you play division rivals in the last 3 games here against the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys, it's always going to be an important game to the players, I would think. Matching up against the Giants up north in Gotham, how does Colt McCoy leading the offense look against the Giants' defense?
Well, they don't look good against any defense. I mean, every week we hope that we play a bad team, and this Giants.
Well, they looked okay.
They
looked okay in the second half against the Colts defense. I mean, yeah. they moved the ball pretty well. So. Well,
the thing is, though, what they've got, the Redskins right now have 2 massive problems that before you even get to the quarterback. The first one is that their tight ends are the worst run-blocking group of tight ends in the NFL. They are rag dolls at the point of attack. They get driven back, they get thrown to the ground, and last week, the cherry on top of it all was supposedly their best tight end, Jordan Reed, had a play where he was at the point of attack, and he basically just stood up out of his stance, waved at the defender in front of him as that defender went through the gap and tackled Alfred Morris for a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that puts the whole offense behind the chains and in a bad situation. The other part is that the running backs are one of the worst groups in the NFL at picking up blitzes. And teams have figured that out, and they're forcing those guys to block, and guess what? They can't be relied on to pick up blitzes. So, when you ask how the Redskins offense matches up against the Giants defense, until there is some semblance of competence at those 2 positions doing those things, they don't match up with any defense very well at all, which is all the more important. It makes all the more important for the quarterback when he does have opportunities to make the right decision. And McCoy makes better decisions than RG3, and that's why he's playing.
Trevor, I got a 2-part question here. Number one is, do you think that at a point in the season when you're 3-10 and you're having to go out there and play a football game, and the last thing that you as a player want to do is get injured in a 3-10 effort, in a 3-10 season? Do you think, number one, do you think people are sort of giving up and saying, look, I'm not going to go out there and ruin my career, the rest of my career, over this season? Or do you think that these guys are truly professionals and that they care deeply enough and they have enough pride to go out there and at least give it their best?
Brian, I believe that they are giving it their best, but who you are will dictate whether or not you want to play out the string in a healthy way. If you're a big star, you know that you're going to be around, then that's possible, but it's doubtful, because if you're a star, the way you got there most likely is that you got there by playing your best every time. If you're a younger player, you see this as an opportunity to show that you deserve a spot on this or some other roster. The problem with motivation is not that you decide proactively that you're going to shut it down for whatever reason. The problem is that you're not inspired to go anywhere. The only inspiration is for your own job now, because all team goals have been obliterated, and everybody's looking for a scapegoat. That's the problem. You don't make a proactive decision that, hey, I don't want to get hurt, or it's just I don't care anymore. I just want to shut it down. You don't think that way. But the way you do think is the opposite of, hey, we're in a playoff run, and if we win these last 3 games, we're in. Let's go. That kind of motivation spurs you to a different kind of a week of practice. Right now, everything is all about me. It's all about my spot on the team, my health, like you mentioned, and I will work as hard as I can so that I personally can benefit, because there is no other goal.
Trevor Matich, we always ask you for a prediction, but I'm gonna change things up here. I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I want you to evaluate my prediction. We know each other. I won't take offense if you think I'm a complete moron.
Larry, I think you are brilliant, and you look fantastic in a Redskins jersey, I've got to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I'm not suiting up for the game, though. They couldn't pay me nearly enough.
Actually,
listen,
they might.
I think that it's pretty clear that any of the quarterbacks are going to be unproductive in this game. I think that they've proven that over the last few games. I'm not saying anything new there. Alfred Morris, though, given the right game plan, can actually be a really effective running back. The Giants happen to be third to last in the league against the run this season. Wouldn't it be a smart game plan to not try to win with the passing game, considering the quarterback situation, and really just let Alfred Morris run loose, and maybe the Redskins have a shot?
Well, theoretically, yeah. But in order for that to happen, you need to pack in tight ends to block, because they'll put extra guys at the line of scrimmage to try to get you out of that game plan. And if your tight ends get tossed around like corks in a hurricane, then all of a sudden it makes it hard to do that, because now you go in with that thought, you hand the ball to Alfred, he's tackled for a 2-yard loss, now it's 2nd and 12. That happens several times, you start to get away from it. So you're right about that. I mean, why not just pound it with him? But what I think fans need to understand is that before the game, you think, give it to him 30 times, see what happens. But during the game, there's a game plan. And that game plan, if they stack the line, and if you keep on getting stuffed because of it, you've got to go to something else. And so that's what's been happening to the Alfred Morris carry count.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if I was a Redskin quarterback, any of the 3, and they were making the decision about who was going to start, I'm not sure whether it would be a good thing or a bad thing to have your number called.
Well, it's a good thing, because you have an opportunity to show that in those moments when you're not being swarmed over by free rushing, blitzers and stuff, you have the opportunity to show that you're making the decisions in the offense. And that's one thing that McCoy has done. I mean, he's been obliterated. Last week we got sacked, 6-7 times.
Yeah,
he was just
6 times
in the pocket. But when he was not being crushed, he made a couple of good decisions. He did some good things.
Right.
That's the difference between him and RG3.
All right,
RG3 was not being crushed. It was like you couldn't tell what he was thinking.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Trevor Matich, we'll check in with you after the game.
All right, guys.
No, jeez.
Deep, heavy sigh from Trevor Matich.